Hi everyone, and welcome to the first week's lectures of your Transition to Leading Others module. So first and foremost, as we kick off this lecture, what I'd like to do is to give you a brief chapter introduction or a lecture week introduction so that we understand what we are doing for the week. So first and foremost, what we'll be doing this week is we'll be trying to understand what life skills is. We'll also be looking at the importance of life skills, and we will also be looking at what it is about life skills that will help us to successfully lead others. Then also what I need us to look at is just in terms of what we are expected to know by the end of this week. So what I expect you to know by the end of this week's lectures is to explain the concept of life skills, to define life skills, to provide the 5 categories of essential life skills. Then also what I'd like you to do is to explain how different life skills are interlinked and also recognize the different life skills which are used in a given situation. And then last but not least, what I'd like us to understand and to be able to know is what the necessity is for acquiring those life skills. The prescribed reading for this week is found in Chapter 1 of your Transition to Leading Others module textbook. It starts off on page 1 and the chapter is Life Skills Orientation. What you'll also find on page 2 of your module textbook is a list of prescribed readings. It's listed as prescribed readings, but it actually is a range of quizzes that will alert you to your own self-understanding of life skills and the particular life skills that you may have. It's not a definitive set of quizzes, but it gives you a brief overview of what is expected of you in terms of development, in terms of your strengths of life skills. It will take some data, so if you do have data or you do have internet access, please feel free to do those quizzes. They are very, very nice in terms of self-reflection. So if you'd like to do those, please do so. So let's kick off. What are skills? If you look on the PowerPoint that has also been uploaded on ICANN, you'll see that I've got a PowerPoint slide that says skills. What are skills? To have a skill means that you have the practical knowledge and ability to do something well. So the skills that or our understanding of we have of skills is that it's abilities in which you have gained competence. If you want to do something well, then you need to form a skill. So you'll see there's also examples of skills, so it's things like riding a bike, driving a car, working a computer, maybe baking a cake, making porridge, maybe even planting a tree or gardening. Whatever it might be, you may have a particular skill that you are very good at, that you have honed in on because of the practical practice that you've put into it. But those are what skills are. Then what are life skills? So how do we define life skills? Life skills can be defined as a set of human skills, which is acquired via teaching or direct experience, and it's used to handle problems and questions that we encounter in our daily lives. So it would be things like, do we have the skill to keep a budget? Do we have skills to be able to calculate how much money is needed to buy particular items? Do we have the skill to work out how much change we would need? Do we have the skill to type? Those kinds of everyday things that we encounter. Skills are also psychosocial abilities for adaptive and positive behavior. So it also helps individuals to deal effectively with life challenges and demands of everyday life. We can also define it as a set of human skills, which again requires us to handle particular problems. The other way is to have a skill to cope with everyday stresses and challenges of daily life. So you can see that there's a common theme in terms of how we define life skills. Life skills are there to help us cope with everyday life, to confront problems and problematic situations, and also just to deal with any challenges that come about. What factors then contribute to effective life skills? So if you look on your slide, you'll see that there are 3 factors that contribute to your to effective life skills. The first is effective communication. What is it about communication that is important? What is it about communication that we need to build in terms of our life skills? And so we know we communicate every day. We communicate with the people that we come across. We communicate via verbal. We communicate via written word. Those are skills that we definitely require in the communication domain. The other thing is good relationships. We build good relationships by being able to communicate. So we need one skill to help with the other. And then also meaningful decisions. So if you can communicate with someone, if you can build rapport and build relations with people, if you're confronted with a problem then you will be able to make meaningful decisions. And that is also a skill that we need. But communication is all about expressing your ideas, expressing clearly what you feel and what information you have. And it may be that you also need to make a decision that requires you to express that in a communicative way. It may also require that you build relations or maintain relations. So it's very, very important to have those three particular factors which contribute to life skills. So what kinds of categories of life skills are there? You'll see on your PowerPoint slide, it's got cognitive skills, personal skills, interpersonal skills. So cognitive skills are those core skills which your brain uses to think and to read, to learn, to remember. Personal skills are those used for developing and managing oneself. So it's how you communicate effectively, how you self-express, how you manage yourself. Those are your personal skills. Then the third category is interpersonal skills. So we know that interpersonal skills would probably be related to emotional intelligence or how you regulate your emotions, how you understand other people's emotions. It also is around how you learn to motivate people, how you use your knowledge to achieve best results with other people. And that's why there's an interperson way of being. There are 5 core categories though of life skills, and you see that they'll appear on your screen. There are 3 diagrams on the top followed by explanations. Personal skills. What I've got there is that if you have personal skills, you can cope with stress and emotion. Stress is a big thing. We live in a space where things are changing all the time. We live in a space where there are financial pressures, there are family pressures, there are social pressures, there are educational pressures, there are work pressures, there are pressures all around us. And so if we're feeling stress, we need to have personal skills that will help us cope with that stress. So it might be that we listen to music, that we dance, that we go out with a friend, that we take a walk in the park. Whatever it might be, it's a skill that we would have learned to do to manage that stress. It might be a breathing exercise that you do. It might be that you close your eyes and drift off to another world. Those are your personal skills. It also helps just in terms of understanding what makes you angry, what makes you happy. So it's around regulating your emotions. The other thing that we need to look at is what happens with our communication and interpersonal relationships. And now I've said it over the last 2 slides, and it's very important for us to communicate. It's very important for us to maintain interpersonal relations. But those interpersonal relations will, and the way we manage those interpersonal relations helps us to understand each other. So it would be very important. It also helps if we have self-awareness and we are able to regulate our emotions. So if we know that something's going to make us angry, we're not going to be put into a situation that makes us angry in that way. But if we are put into that situation, how do we then manage it and how do we regulate our emotion? And it may be through an interpersonal relationship. It may be something at work's gone wrong. It may be something that's in the business and a client is shouting at you. Will it make you angry? How do you react to that? How do you maintain the relationship? By being self-aware. The other thing we need to look at is decision making and problem solving. As I said earlier, we make decisions, we problem solve every day of our lives. We problem solve our way to work. How many taxis do we need to take to get to work within 45 minutes? What are the queues like at the taxi rank? What traffic is there going to be? Do we have petrol in our cars to get us to school or to work? Do we leave 45 minutes earlier so that we can get to work earlier to miss the traffic? Do we need to make a decision around who we interact with at work during the day? Do we make decisions or problem solve if we've got a meeting clash? Those kinds of things creep into our lives, and those are the kinds of things that we really need to problem solve and make decisions around. If we bring it back to the broader idea of either human resource management or business management, how do we deal with people in human resource management? How do we make decisions that impact not only us, but also on those around us? In a business management perspective, what is it if you're the employer or if you're the employee? How do those decisions affect you? So those are the kinds of things that you need to look at. If we continue on though, what we need to look at is, what is the importance of those life skills? Because this week's lectures maintain that life skills are important, that we need the foundation of understanding what life skills is so that we can go forth and successfully lead others. So why is life skills so important? Life skills is important because they're linked to one another, as we've seen from the previous couple of slides. It also leads to an idea that if you improve in one area, then you may improve in other areas. So it's a snowball effect, and you'll see on your PowerPoint that I've got a picture of a rolling snowball. So as it goes down, it gathers more snow, and then it becomes a bigger snowball. The same thing is, as you move along and enhance your skills and increase your skill level, you'll gain more skills, and it will just strengthen you in terms of your development. What I would like you to do is to go to page 8 of your textbook. If you haven't already had a look at it, maybe look at it now. There's an activity there just in terms of real life situations, and it's all about David riding his bicycle. So have a look at that activity and do the activity. There's, I think, 5 questions that follow on from there. Think about those questions and think about it in terms of life skills and what we've learned about personal life skills, interpersonal life skills, decision-making, communication, all those kinds of things. It will show you in that activity that life skills are interlinked, that we need a number of skills to be able to cope with specific situations because they are interlinked. And also it will show that if you have, or if you continue to practice that life skill, you'll build on that life skill. Just like the snowball would be rolling down the hill, it would gather more. And so you develop more in that instance. The moral of that activity is that everyone needs life skills, no matter what. There's no one person in this space or in this time that doesn't need some kind of life skill. Life skills are resources, they're capabilities, they're assets that help us to be successful in our lives and by default then help us to help others be successful in their lives. So as managers and leaders, we need to ensure that we prepare ourselves, we prepare the people that work for us and work with us to be skilled and to be able to live meaningful lives. So this will also enable us to cope with different challenges in life. So what have we learned in this week's lecture? We've learned that life skills are important. We've learned about the 5 categories of life skills. We've learned that it's important for us to master life skills so that we can live effective lives by making effective decisions, by being able to communicate, by being able to build and maintain relations. What I want you to do is there's a self-reflection PowerPoint slide in the PowerPoints that I've sent you and uploaded to ICANN. I want you to go through those and think really carefully about how those questions affect you personally. What was the one most useful thing you learned in this lecture? What was the one thing covered in this lecture that you already knew? how would you rate your competence in terms of the 5 core life skills? And if you need to be reminded about what those 5 core life skills are, then go back to your textbook, read them again in your textbook, go back to the PowerPoint, have a look again in the PowerPoint to where I was explaining around it. Then how would others rate your family, and it's your friends that I'm talking about, how would they rate your competence in these 5 core life skills? Would they say, oh, no, they're terrible at this, but they're really good at this? I mean, if I think now myself, how would my family rate me on interpersonal relations? Some would rate me as a 5, others would rate me as a 2. It depends. It's very subjective as well. So maybe think about it and ask them. And then also, what life skills do you think you need to develop in order to improve your overall happiness and productivity? Just remember that we are always going to be developing. And that is what this module is all about our development and how it will encourage life skills development, how it will encourage motivation for us, how it will encourage how we relate to others so that we can effectively lead them. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's quick video lecture. Please read your chapter textbook, go through the PowerPoints again. If you're not sure of anything, drop me an email, drop Nathan an email, give me a call at the office. Until then, I'll see you next week. Have a good week.